Welcome to Magic Pillow. Snuggle in, get cozy, and let your imagination drift. The stars are aligned, the shadows are waiting, and a legend awakens. Tonight's story is, The Dream Walker Has Returned. In the sleepy town of Oakhaven, there lived a boy named Lucas. Lucas was 10 years old, and he was the youngest child in a very busy family. His older brother, Sam, was always running and playing sports. His sister, Lily, loved to sing and talk to everyone she met. But Lucas was different. He was an introvert who loved the quiet corners of the world. While his siblings were loud and fast, Lucas liked to observe the small things. He watched the way the ladybugs crawled on leaves. He listened to the soft pitter-patter of the rain on the window. Because he was so quiet, his family sometimes called him their little dreamer. He didn't say much, but his mind was full of colorful stories and wonderful adventures. Today was a very big day for Lucas. It was his 10th birthday. The house was filled with the smell of sweet chocolate cake and fresh flowers. Sam and Lily were busy blowing up bright balloons and hanging streamers across the living room. "Happy birthday, Lucas!" they cheered as he walked into the kitchen. Lucas smiled at his family, but the noise felt a little bit overwhelming. He sat at the table and watched his friends and cousins arrive. There was music, games, and a lot of laughter. It was a wonderful party, but in his heart, Lucas was waiting for the evening. He was waiting for the time when the sun would set and the house would finally become still. He had no idea that at the bottom of his gift pile sat a very special surprise. It was a gift that would turn his quiet dreams into a real journey. This birthday was not just the start of a new year, but the start of a magical destiny. The sun began to set over the hills of Oakhaven. The party was finally winding down. Lucas sat on the rug as his family gathered around for the last gift. His grandmother walked forward with a small box wrapped in silver paper. "This is for you, Lucas," she said with a twinkle in her eye. Lucas carefully tore away the paper. Inside was not a toy or a game. It was a beautiful, soft pillow. It was the color of the deep night sky. Right in the middle was a large, silver star stitched with glowing thread. It felt lighter than a cloud in his hands. "It looks like an old pillow," Sam whispered, confused. But Lucas didn't think so. As his fingers touched the silver star, he felt a strange, warm tingle. It felt like the pillow was humming a tiny, secret song. "This pillow has been in our family a long time," his grandmother whispered. "It is for those who see things others do not." Lucas hugged the pillow tight to his chest. He didn't know why, but he felt like he had found a new best friend. His mother kissed his forehead and told him it was time for bed. Lucas climbed the stairs, holding his gift close. He changed into his pajamas and turned off the lamp. The room became dark, but the silver star on the pillow began to glow with a soft, blue light. Lucas laid his head down on the soft fabric. He expected to fall into a normal sleep. But as his eyes closed, the silver star grew brighter. The walls of his bedroom began to fade away like mist. He felt a gentle breeze on his face. Slowly, Lucas opened his eyes and gasped. He was no longer in his bed. He was standing in a strange, quiet forest. The ground was covered in soft, white moss. Giant trees stretched high into a purple sky. Everything felt magical, but something was very wrong. The forest was completely silent. There were no birds singing and no crickets chirping. Lucas looked at the trees and saw they were dusty gray. The leaves looked like they were made of old paper. Even the air felt heavy and tired. He looked down at his hands and realized he was still wearing his pajamas. However, he was still clutching his magic pillow. The silver star was now pulsing like a heartbeat. It was the only thing in this world that had any light. "Hello?" Lucas called out softly. His voice echoed through the gray trees. He felt a little bit scared, but also very curious. He started to walk down a narrow path. Every step he took made the ground beneath him glow for just a second. As Lucas walked, he heard a soft rustling sound. He turned a corner and saw a very tiny, crooked house. It looked like it was carved inside a giant, dried-up mushroom. Sitting on the doorstep was a small man with a very long, white beard. He wore a hat made from a walnut shell and a coat of crunchy, brown leaves. The old man looked up and rubbed his eyes. "A traveler?" he whispered in a voice like dry autumn leaves. "And he carries the star stitch." He stood up quickly, his wooden cane clicking on the ground. "I am Barnaby," he said with a low bow. "We have waited many years for a boy like you." Lucas held his pillow tighter. "Where am I?" he asked quietly. Barnaby sighed and pointed toward the gray horizon. "This is the Cloud Kingdom," he explained. "It used to be a place of bright colors and happy music. But the Shadow King has stolen our light." Barnaby told Lucas a sad story about how the world lost its sparkle. The Shadow King wanted everything to be dull and quiet, but not a peaceful quiet. He wanted a lonely, cold quiet. He had even used his dark magic to capture the queen. Now, she was locked away in a tower of cold fog. "Look at the flowers, Lucas," Barnaby said, pointing to a wilted rose. It was as pale as a ghost. "Without the queen, the colors have no strength to stay." Lucas felt a pang of sadness in his chest. He realized this world needed his help. He wasn't just a quiet boy anymore, he was their last hope. Barnaby leaned closer, his eyes reflecting the blue glow of the pillow. "The legend says that a boy with a quiet heart would arrive," he whispered. "He would carry a piece of the moon to light our way." Lucas looked down at his pillow and saw the silver star was now spinning slowly. "But I'm just Lucas," he said, shaking his head. "I don't have any powers or magic." Barnaby let out a small, dusty chuckle. "True magic doesn't always go bang or flash," the old man said. "Sometimes, it is the magic of listening and the strength of a kind soul." Barnaby explained that the Shadow King was not just a villain. He was a collector of sighs and sadness. He had taken the Queen's crown and hidden it in the fog tower. Without the crown, the Queen remained under a sleeping spell. "She is the heart of our world," Barnaby added sadly. "If she does not wake soon, the Cloud Kingdom will vanish forever." Lucas looked around at the gray trees and the lonely mushroom house. He thought about his own family back in Oakhaven. He thought about how much he loved the colors of the real world. He knew he couldn't let this beautiful place disappear into the shadows. "How do I stop him?" Lucas asked, his voice becoming a little firmer. Barnaby pointed toward the whispering mountains in the distance. "You must find the light sword," he said. "But be careful, Lucas. The Shadow King's minions are everywhere, and they love to steal a person's courage." Just as Barnaby finished speaking, the temperature dropped. A cold breeze swept through the gray trees, making them rattle like dry bones. "Shoo," Barnaby whispered, pulling Lucas behind a giant, colorless fern. "They are here. The doldrums." Lucas peeked through the leaves. Floating through the air were several small, gray clouds with glowing red eyes. They moved slowly, leaving a trail of heavy fog behind them. Wherever they touched, the light seemed to get even dimmer. Lucas felt a wave of sadness wash over him as they got closer. The dull drums were the Shadow King's spies. They didn't use weapons, they used whispers. Lucas could hear them now, sounding like the wind in a chimney. "Give up, little boy," they hissed. "Go back to sleep. You are too small to change the world." Lucas felt his heart get heavy. Maybe they were right. Suddenly, the magic pillow in his arms began to pulse with a warm, golden light. The heat from the pillow chased away the chill in his chest. Lucas realized that as long as he held on to his dreams, the shadows couldn't touch him. He gripped the pillow tighter and closed his eyes. The dull drums circled the fern, sniffing the air for fear. But Lucas stayed very still and very quiet. Because he was an introvert, he was an expert at being invisible when he wanted to be. The gray clouds drifted past, unable to find the boy who was as calm as the night. Barnaby let out a breath of relief. "You have the gift, Lucas. You have the quiet strength." Barnaby gave Lucas a small, wooden whistle. "Use this if you get lost," he whispered. Lucas nodded and stepped onto the dusty path leading toward the mountains. Each step felt strange, as if he were walking on bubbles. The further he walked, the more the trees seemed to lean in toward him. He noticed something sparkling in the gray dirt. He knelt down and picked up a tiny glass marble. Inside the marble, a swirl of blue paint was trapped. "A piece of color," Lucas whispered to himself. It was like a treasure in a world that had lost everything. He tucked it safely into his pajama pocket. The mountain in front of him was tall and jagged. It didn't look like a normal mountain. It looked like it was made of frozen smoke. Lucas felt small, but his magic pillow stayed warm against his chest. He realized that he wasn't just walking for himself anymore. He was walking for Barnaby and the trapped queen. Suddenly, the ground began to shake just a little. Far off in the distance, a dark tower pierced the clouds. A flash of purple lightning struck the top of it. Lucas knew that was where the Shadow King lived. He knew he wasn't ready to go there yet. He needed to find the light sword first. He reached the base of the Whispering Mountains. The rocks here seemed to hum a low, vibrating tune. Lucas found a cave entrance shaped like a giant star. Just as he was about to step inside, he felt a familiar pull. The world around him began to spin and blur. The gray trees started to turn back into the walls of his bedroom. The morning sun peeked through the curtains in Oakhaven. Lucas opened his eyes and blinked at the bright light. He was back in his own bed, tucked under his warm blankets. The birds outside were chirping loudly, and he could hear Sam and Lily laughing downstairs. "It was just a dream," Lucas whispered to himself. He felt a little bit sad because the adventure felt so real. He looked at his new pillow sitting beside him. The silver star looked like normal thread again, no longer glowing or spinning. He sighed and sat up to get ready for school. But as he swung his legs out of bed, he felt something hard in his pajama pocket. His heart began to race. He reached inside and pulled out a small, round object. It was the glass marble with the swirl of blue paint. It sparkled in the real-world sunlight. Then, he looked down at his slippers. Stuck to the bottom of his left slipper was a single, gray leaf. It was dry and colorless, just like the trees in the Cloud Kingdom. Lucas smiled, and for the first time in his life, he didn't feel like just a quiet boy. He felt like a guardian. He tucked the marble and the leaf into a secret box under his bed. He knew that tonight, when the house went quiet again, he would return. Barnaby was waiting, and the Queen needed him. Lucas walked downstairs to breakfast with a secret smile on his face. His adventure was only just beginning. The story has ended, and the night is calm. Thank you for joining us on Magic Pillow. Snuggle up, close your eyes, and let your dreams take you to magical places. Sweet dreams, and good night.